In the bustling city of Seattle, Washington, a committed journalist called Nick Elliott finds himself on a seemingly futile quest for a suitable apartment. Being unsuccessful in his pursuit within the city's congested neighborhoods and sky-high rents, his attention is drawn towards the calm and serene suburbs where the promise of peaceful living beckons him. Nick, a gentleman deeply passionate about his profession, puts his citywide search on a hiatus and steers his vehicle to this contrasting environment, hoping for better luck. Upon his arrival, he's greeted by the sight of a sign that stands out amidst the charming, rustic homes. It announces the availability of a guest house that seemingly ticks all the boxes of his housing requirements. The advertised property belongs to the couple, Liv and Cliff Forrester, who often find themselves traveling for business purposes. The Forresters, who balance their work-life commitments with confidence, frequently jet off to meet their obligations, leaving their home under the watchful eyes of trustworthy neighbors. Without a moment of hesitation, Nick seizes this golden opportunity. Accepting the property quickly, he dives into the task of transforming the guest house into a place that resonates with his needs and aesthetics. He invests his time, effort, and creativity into the renovation project, intent on carving out his own space in this unfamiliar yet inviting territory. His diligence and dedication do not go unnoticed. Among those who take an interest in his actions is a young resident of the main house, a 14-year-old girl called Darian, whose curiosity is piqued by the new occupant of the guest house. Despite her tender age, she is perceptive, and her curiosity is as boundless as the horizon. She observes his comings and goings with keen interest, marking the start of an unexpected entanglement between the two. Embracing his new life in the suburbs, Nick embarks on his first day as a writer for the highly acclaimed Peak magazine. Despite his seasoned experience and credible reputation, he finds himself facing a rocky start in this fresh endeavor. Criticized for a late arrival that breached the punctuality the magazine staff prided themselves on, he was not met with the warm welcome he might have anticipated. Furthermore, he was given a task that many would view as uninspiring and of little consequence. He was to unravel a story that seemed to have reached a stalemate. As the sun disappeared and the moon took its place in the evening sky, an unexpected visitor graced Nick's guest house. Darian, whose intrigue had already been roused by his presence, sought him out under the cloak of nightfall. With a flirtatious air, she questioned him about the ongoing investigation that occupied his professional hours. Her inquiries, laden with curiosity and subtle admiration, added a spark to their growing acquaintance. With dawn breaking over the quaint suburb, the teenager reappeared at the guest house, this time bearing a gift for Nick, who was oblivious to her presence as he enjoyed his morning shower. Alongside her gesture of goodwill, she extended an invitation to him to attend her parents' upcoming soirée. It was a social event that promised a gathering of the suburb's crème de la crème, a world that Nick found himself reluctantly agreeing to step into. The day of the party arrived, and Nick, despite his initial reluctance, found himself amidst a swirl of high society guests. Feeling like a fish out of water in the sea of glitz and glamour, he instinctively sought out the familiar face of Darian. It was then that she disclosed her audacious secret. She had stealthily entered his guest house and dared to rewrite the very article he had been struggling with. The new version, penned by the young and daring hand, had unexpectedly received high commendation from his stern boss at Peak magazine, adding an unforeseen twist to their relationship. Yielding to Darian's persistent persuasion, Nick finds himself accompanying her on a trip to an idyllic coastal lighthouse, a place known for its peaceful solitude and breathtaking vistas. Amidst the tranquil setting, he finds it in his heart to forgive her for the audacious intrusion into his personal and professional sphere. During this rare moment of solitude, the girl opens up about her own personal struggles, her voice carried away by the gentle coastal breeze. She reveals her social challenges, a result of having been compelled to skip grades in her schooling journey due to her advanced intellect. This leap in her academic progress created a chasm between her and her peers, making it difficult for her to form lasting friendships. In the shadows of the towering lighthouse, she leans in to steal a kiss from the taken-aback writer. However, he pulls away from this unexpected advance, placing clear boundaries in their evolving relationship. Insisting on an immediate return home, he attempts to restore normalcy between them. Despite the awkward situation and Darian's continuous omnipresence, casting a looming shadow over his daily routine, Nick manages to find solace in an unexpected place. A bond of friendship begins to form between him and a coworker, Amy Maddock, from Peak magazine. Amy is a woman of intellectual prowess and has an empathetic nature. She offers a much-needed respite from the complex scenario unfolding back at his suburban abode. Through shared work experiences, they foster a companionship that begins to alleviate some of the pressures Nick has been grappling with. During a jovial weekend barbecue, replete with sizzling food and lively conversation, Nick's newfound friend and coworker Amy finds herself growing increasingly wary. She observes the blatant adolescent crush that Darian seems to harbor towards Nick, her behavior leaving little to the imagination. Her concern for her friend is evident, as she notes the potential complexity this could add to his life. One day, following a mystifying telephone call from Darian, Nick, with a sense of foreboding, ventures into the main house in search of her. He finds himself in her personal sanctuary, her room, where he discovers a heart-shaped pillow. The soft keepsake was intricately embroidered with his and Darian's initials, a symbol of her growing attachment to him. With a jolt of surprise, he retreats into the safety of her closet when she enters the room, preparing to undress for a shower. Unbeknownst to him, the sharp-eyed teenager is fully aware of his covert presence, adding another layer to the intricate web of their entangled relationship. As Nick attempts to stealthily exit the house, he unexpectedly encounters Cliff, Darian's father. Oblivious to the events that transpired upstairs, Cliff requests Nick's assistance in moving some boxes to the attic. As they ascend into this hidden nook of the house, Cliff reveals a project he has poured his time and affection into, a beautifully reconstructed carnival carousel. He boasts of this being a cherished childhood toy for Darian, oblivious to the complexity of the relationship that has been quietly developing between her and their tenant. In the quiet lull of one mid-afternoon, Nick, gathering his courage, tries to establish firm boundaries with Darian. He attempts to express to her the nature of their relationship, emphasizing the need for it to remain strictly platonic. However, Darian, with a quick retort, highlights his previous act of voyeurism, using it as a reminder of the line he had crossed himself. The complexity of their relationship takes a turn when Nick encounters an alarming incident. His vehicle, his personal property, appears to have been vandalized, and he can't help but harbor suspicions about Darian's potential involvement. With the evidence seemingly pointing in her direction and their recent interactions, Nick takes the bold step of confronting her parents, the Forresters. He presents his concerns to the Forresters, hoping for some resolution. However, Darian steadfastly denies any role in the act of destruction. With the innocence of her youth and her convincing denial, she succeeds in earning her parents' trust, causing them to dismiss Nick's allegations. They stand by their daughter, choosing to believe her over Nick, which further complicates the interwoven dynamics in the household. Following the heated exchange between Nick and the Forresters, a new character enters the tense suburban tableau. Darian's sole friend, a girl named Cheyenne, approaches Nick, expressing her desire to converse with him once she's finished her usual horse riding lesson. Cheyenne, a constant in Darian's otherwise solitary world, seeks to engage with Nick, which could potentially shed more light on the situation. Watching this interaction from the sidelines, Darian's suspicions are triggered. Feeling threatened by the possibility of her only friend communicating with Nick, she reacts in a manner driven by her emotions. While Cheyenne is preparing for her horse riding lesson, Darian interferes, handling Cheyenne's saddle inappropriately. As a consequence of Darian's ill-advised intervention, Cheyenne mounts the saddle incorrectly, a mistake that leads to an unfortunate accident. She falls from her horse, a fall that results in a severe injury, a broken arm. This incident, caused indirectly by Darian's misguided actions, adds yet another layer of complexity and tension to the already strained situation. In the midst of preparing a crucial work presentation, Nick encounters another unnerving hurdle. He realizes, to his utter dismay, that his important computer files have been mysteriously erased. This unforeseen digital wipe threatens to impede his professional progress, adding to the already mounting tension in his life. Further escalating the situation, Nick stumbles upon a concealed space in the confines of the garage, a discovery that chills him to his core. Within this secret room, hidden from the world, he finds a candlelit shrine that Darian had clandestinely built in his honor. The shrine, a chilling testament to her obsession, becomes another testament to the escalating tension between them. While grappling with the shock of these discoveries, Nick musters all his concentration and determination to reconstruct his work. Immersed in this daunting task, he resolves to maintain a distance from Darian, ignoring the constant stream of her telephone calls that threaten to disrupt his focus. As a further protective measure, he decides to replace his locks, putting a physical barrier between him and Darian's incessant intrusion. Determined to escape the intensifying environment, Nick seeks solace in relocation. He begins making arrangements to move to a new apartment, hoping for a fresh start away from the chaos. However, his hopes are dashed when he is informed by the landlady that the new property would only become available the following week, forcing him to endure the unnerving situation a little longer. In the midst of the spiraling suburban drama, a glimmer of hope emerges for Nick as his friendship with Amy evolves, taking a turn towards the romantic. Amid shared experiences and growing understanding, they find themselves gravitating towards each other, forging a bond that promises solace amidst the chaos. This newfound romance, however, becomes another point of contention with Darian. Amy, valuing her newfound relationship, dismisses Darian's intrusive curiosity when she starts asking probing questions about their intimate life. Amy's stern dismissal serves as a reminder of the boundaries that should be respected, despite Darian's apparent disregard for them. However, Darian's obsession with Nick and her resentment towards Amy soon take a dangerous turn. In an alarming act of malice, Darian locks Amy inside her private darkroom, a place where Amy retreats to focus on her work and creativity. But Darian transforms this sanctuary into a terrifying trap, filling the room's ventilation fans with wasps. This act of vengeance results in a perilous situation for Amy, who suffers from the onslaught of the enraged insects. The terrifying ordeal ends with Amy being rushed to the hospital, her safety compromised by Darian's escalating obsession and unpredictable behavior. Darian's manipulative behavior unfolds further during a horse riding competition. In a moment of unguarded conversation, she gloats to her only friend, Cheyenne, about how Amy's unfortunate accident has served her purpose. She perceives the incident as a twisted opportunity, believing it to have brought her closer to Nick, much to Cheyenne's dismay. After the competition, Darian takes her disruptive behavior to a new level by crashing a fundraiser event for Peak magazine. In a bold act of deceit, she creates a disturbance by masquerading as Nick's disgruntled girlfriend. This staged spectacle not only tarnishes Nick's professional reputation, but also adds another layer of confusion to the evolving narrative. However, the turmoil doesn't end there. As Nick tries to navigate these turbulent waters, he is met with another blow. His attempts at finding a fresh start have been thwarted. Darian, continuing her relentless meddling, has sabotaged his new apartment lease. She misleads the landlady by falsely portraying Nick as a drug dealer, a damaging allegation that further complicates his bid for a peaceful transition. This deception sends Nick further down the spiraling path of chaos and uncertainty, proving just how far Darian is willing to go to keep him within her reach. Upon returning home, Nick is confronted with a grim and shocking scene. He is suddenly and unexpectedly arrested, accused of the grave crime of sexually assaulting a minor. Darian, the central figure in his mounting troubles, has leveled a distressing allegation against him, claiming he physically abused her. This serious claim plunges Nick into a darker side of the complex situation he finds himself in. To make matters worse, the officer in charge of his interrogation reveals another alarming piece of information. The police have gathered evidence suggesting that Darian was a victim of rape, a revelation that sends shockwaves through Nick's already tumultuous world. However, Nick, familiar with Darian's manipulative tendencies, quickly formulates a theory. He hypothesizes that Darian, in her relentless pursuit to control his life, could have orchestrated this distressing claim by pilfering a used condom from his trash bin. This, he believes, could be her way of framing him for a crime he did not commit. Yet, in the face of such serious allegations and compelling evidence, even the police find it difficult to believe Nick's theory over Darian's claims. His attempts to prove his innocence are met with skepticism, leading him to feel more isolated and helpless in this deeply entangled predicament. Before the legal system can formally press charges against him, Nick manages to post bail. A heavy cloud of uncertainty hanging over him, he returns to what was once a serene suburban home, now a battleground of accusations and tension. Determined to remove himself from the escalating chaos, he quickly starts packing, intending to leave behind the nightmare that his life has become. However, his hurried preparations are interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Cheyenne, Darian's only friend, arrives with a revelation that adds another piece to the perplexing puzzle. She unveils a tale from their past, a story about a camp counselor named Rick who faced Darian's wrath. According to Cheyenne, Darian had developed romantic feelings for Rick, and when he rebuffed her advances, she retaliated by poisoning him, a chilling echo of her current obsession with Nick. After sharing this dark secret, Cheyenne departs, leaving Nick to process this disturbing information. As he digests the implications of the story, Darian, ever persistent and stealthy, manages to sneak her way into the main house, setting the stage for what could be another tense confrontation. As the evening unfolds, a mysterious tune floats across the yard, stirring Nick from his frantic packing. The source of the music appears to be originating from somewhere within the property, igniting Nick's concern for Cheyenne. Compelled to investigate, he embarks on a search across the expanse of the property, ultimately ascending to Darian's room. Entering her room, he finds it transformed into another eerie shrine devoted to him. The unsettling tableau is complete with a cryptic note pleading, "Please forgive me." The ominous atmosphere is suddenly disrupted as Darian, hiding in the shadows, lunges at him wielding a gardening tool. In the ensuing struggle, she pushes him over the balcony. Just as Darian is about to strike a lethal blow, a car pulls into the driveway. Her parents have arrived home. The sudden arrival causes Darian to retreat hastily, fleeing to the safety of the attic. A bruised and battered Nick manages to regain consciousness and follows her, moving painfully slowly due to his injuries. In the attic, he makes another grim discovery. Cheyenne is bound and tied to the carnival carousel, a prisoner in Darian's deranged game. Out of the shadows, Darian lunges at Nick once more, her screams reverberating through the house until they reach Cliff. As her father reaches the scene of the confrontation, Darian turns her violence towards him, knocking him unconscious with a swift blow. In self-defense, Nick retaliates with a punch, sending Darian hurtling across the room. A while later, life seems to have moved on. Nick has finally relocated to a new apartment, sharing his new abode with Amy. However, echoes of the past still linger. Darian, now confined in a mental institution, sends Nick apologetic letters. In her letters, she reveals her new infatuation with a sympathetic doctor, hinting that she may be on the cusp of repeating her pattern of obsessive behavior. This implication suggests that the cycle of Darian's fixation may well be gearing up to ensnare a new victim, hinting at a potentially tumultuous future for her unsuspecting doctor.